Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. You are now listening to the First Circuit Podcast, episode 25. Your hosts today are Byter,
Blarg,
a Larsh,
Hey, yo, peoples.
an old Bob,
hello everybody.
and me, Ian. Our topics today include a couple of quick notes, rest in peace Patcher, a meme contest, some patch notes centered around the fish, and some current events and sales. But first, our network and broadcasting service provider has asked us to give you a quick message. Attention everyone, this is a message from Comstar. Would the owner of the Scout-class jump ship Mechwarrior please move their vessel off the main entry point BE07 near Sol 3? You are blocking the totally legitimate incoming Comstar traffic. Failure to comply will result in all Comstar accounts being frozen and your ship most likely scrapped by our meteor defense. After all, we don't have warships. Not at all. Thank you very much for your compliance. Attention everyone, this is a... Oh no. Okay. There you go. And with that, I hope you enjoy the podcast.
Professionalism just suddenly washed away.
as Ian just breaks character. Very nice. Okay, so
Awesome, no?
back on track. So what are today's main topic that we're going to get into first, guys?
I think probably maybe the patch notes be very good to get into.
I think so too.
Yeah, the biggest, meatiest thing has been the patch that came in on Monday, introducing the Piranha, a few balance tweaks here and there, and I think that's mostly it. But for us, the big thing has been the Piranha, no doubt.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fun.
So I think in terms of patch notes, maybe let's go over the little things first, and then we can get into the Piranha, and then we'll just go full Piranha. Honestly.
Sounds good.
All right, so they've done a little bit of changes to the clan side in terms of energy boating, most typically, because the clan PPC's cooldown has increased by 1 second, which does somewhat reduce the usability of the clan PPC, but for the most part, that build's always that weapon is burst damage, lots of heat, and you take a fair amount of time in between. Like 4 and 5 seconds is an extra second, but you were always taking a while before you're firing those PPCs again. And it might actually help, ironically, people with managing their heat with those really hot things. The other thing they changed was the clan medium pulse laser, changing its maximum range, because the standard clan ER medium laser goes out to like 50% of its extra range, of its standard range, and the clan was a bit shorter range than the ER medium, but it went to double its maximum range. And I think they're bringing that in line with the medium. So both of them have an extended range over the inner sphere, but they don't go much beyond that. And lastly, the big, huge change to clan laser boats was the weapon heat gen quirk skill node and the weapons tree. They were knocking that down a few percent points so that energy boats and other hot clan builds aren't so easily able to chuck out so much damage. It puts them in more in line with the inner sphere, according to PGI's notes.
Yeah.
It's not a giant nerf, but I feel like it was really needed, and I'm happy about it.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, basically with the heat nodes, there was a lot of flack on that, though. A ton of flack. Because 2% is not too much, to tell you the truth, but every little bit definitely does help you, especially on hot maps. And with this, though, I'm kind of like on the fence on that, though. Yeah, they kind of needed it, but it didn't really. It was not that very effective, though, to tell you the truth.
I think at least the risk reward of a clan laser boat has still very typically very strongly skewed in their favor, and a lot of the time in group queue would see plenty of these laser boat makes around. It's often what we make fun of or make note of, as these are the meta mechs, so to speak, and the sheer versatility of the medium pulse lasers and the good beam duration of them on top of that made them really good weapons, like extremely good. There was nothing really the Sphere had to really compete, and they were just so ubiquitously useful weapons. So I can totally sort of agree with the design changes, because at least laser boats are damage over time, but the way clan laser boats sort of played out is they were just sheer striking power and sheer sustained power as well. With the heat gen nodes and double cool shot, you could do a crazy amount of damage without really worrying about heat too much, and reining that in a bit does actually make a lot of sense. I personally, at least, I only mostly enjoy the clan for their laser boats, but I'm not much of a clan player in the first place. But it's still, we'll have to see how things pan out. Of course, with the recent patch, the big thing has actually just been the Piranha running around, and in response, people have been taking anti-Piranha weapons, i.e., predominantly streaks and Gorse rifles. And I wonder, at least, with the nerfs to clan lasers, laser plus Gorse is going to become, or just Gorses in general, become a lot more popular as lasers fall out of favor.
I think they might.
Well, yeah, true. Like I've been seeing a lot of like dual heavy Goss. Of course, this is from Stream. I mean, almost all the different streams I've been seeing, everyone's been using double heavy Goss to go ahead and deal mass amounts of damage. You know, especially like the flamers as well. But I can never hit a freaking Piranha with the Goss weapon. There'd be no way in hell I could do that. I don't know, man.
And also with the Goss, we did have a light Goss cooldown in this last patch. And clan laser boats have been nerfed, and Inner Sphere Gorse has been buffed up a bit. And I've been seeing heavy Gorse and light Gorse mechs running around the field now. Yeah, because now the heavy Gauss has actually had a range increase to 220.
I don't think the light Gauss that he reduced as to 0.55 was a big thing though. Like, what's the heat on it normally though?
So they did change they changed the heat for light Gauss from 1 to like 0.5 or so. The thing is that actually it's a subtle change, but it does make, all the little extra bit of heat does make the difference, because you were paying for Gorse weapons, at least, proportionally a lot more heat for the damage you were doing. And along with the lethargic rate of fire, the lethargic DPS, the light Gorse was almost completely useless for the most part, and that's why it was never run at all. Now, however, the light Gorse is actually starting to find its niche. I have seen it being used in a very long-range sniper capacity, like quad light Gorse Cyclops hero, the Schneffischner. That thing can be pretty scary at long range, because it can peg you at to 1.4k. With 16 and the 16, like 32 damage in very short order.
And another good use for the light Gauss right now is to actually use it as a weapon that's supposed to be fun. So for an example, I've got my Osiris with a single light Gauss. It's a completely useless mech, but it's hella fun. And I can tell you the cooldown reduction helps it a lot and increases the fun factor quite a bit.
It helps a huge ton, because Gorse is you charge up the shot, boom, you've done a huge amount of damage, and then you wait for ages for it to cool down, and that's how they balanced it. But the light Gorse is the exception, because you're paying a lot of tonnage for not such a huge alpha, and this allows them to give a very short cooldown for it, along with its fast projectile, good ammo capacity, and long range. So it's actually finding its own unique niche. The interesting thing will be of seeing in the future whether this will become sort of a skill weapon. Like if you're a skilled player, you could make this weapon sing, or if it may just suddenly take over the meta, or if it's just not good enough. But as it stands, a light Gorse has a similar kind of DPS as a regular Gorse rifle. So if you have the face time, if you can keep pegging people with those shots, it is a quite viable heat-neutral weapon now.
Yeah, and actually, and I'm not too sure, but does the light Gauss and the heavy Gauss, does it make a different sound or the same sound whenever you're pegged with one?
Yeah, I never did notice that.
Because it's one of those things where even for the enemy, if you're just there pegging them with Gauss, I mean, at least I know personally, I have a little like mini freak out of like, oh no, I'm being hit with Gauss, time to back away.
I know for me,
it feels different.
Okay.
It feels different?
When you're hit by...
I definitely know that I can differentiate between a light Gauss and heavy Gauss hit, but I think it's just the screen shake. Do I get screen shake?
Is there screen shake?
So
well, maybe you screen shake a lot more with the heavy Gauss than with the light Gauss.
Yeah, you can tell when you're hit by dual heavy Gauss, for example, at close range, because your mech suddenly has a giant hole in it, and there's a big shake and a big, huge, giant boom noise. Whereas, light Gauss is a bit more bling.
Okay. I'll have to check that out then. Go and test that. Just to make sure. But like John says, like in my chat, it gets the same. What are you saying?
Yeah, so I'm quite excited to try out light Gauss again. This hopefully will make it quite viable. It will be quite difficult though to find the right circumstances to use it because it requires a lot of face time, so to speak. It also doesn't necessarily benefit from the cooldown quirks as much as the other Gauss rifles do, and you're still spending a lot of tonnage to acquire it. However, it is now much more of a viable alternative to similar weapons in its bracket, which were something like the RAK-5 or the AC-10 or LB-10.
There are basically two big use cases I see for light Gauss right now. The first is what you've mentioned, like quad light Gauss assault mechs, and the other one is actually something like lighter heavy mechs or heavier medium mechs, using it as a 800-meter sniping weapon. And I'm gonna be interested in seeing how that plays out.
Like often with a medium, you could try and chuck on like an LB-10 and a whole bunch of ER medium lasers and splat and ping people using the heat efficient LB-10 and the mediums to give good range poke. But the light Gauss might be a good alternative because that's actually pinpoint. It doesn't splatter like the LB-10 does.
Yeah, and actually, right now in the mech lab, I've actually slapped on a light Gauss onto a Phoenix Hawk 3S, and it fits. And it's almost viable.
You put this on a fire starter, right?
Yeah, and you could try putting it on one of the fire starters.
Okay. That's what I thought.
Light Gauss.
But I mean, on the fire starter, you can put an LB-20, so I mean that's better.
Okay. I'll have to try that and see how that works. Just go and mess around.
The other change, buffing Innosphere Gauss, Heavy Gauss, increasing its minimum range or optimal range, should I say? I thought Heavy Gauss was already pretty decent, and upping it like this is possibly going to make it into the huge new meta weapon because it was already really good.
Yes, so I'm really on the fence about that change. On the one hand, like those extra 40 meters, I think they help, and I enjoy them when I use Heavy Gauss. But the main thing I'm on the fence about is the reason PGI explained that change by just saying, okay, the MWO finalists wanted it.
Yeah, that's not a good idea to have that, though, because, the pros want it. Oh, that's good.
So it is, the Heavy Gauss was just on the bare level of being, a true better weapon. The thing was, at least, that clan energy boating does that huge alpha potential up to like 400 meters range, rather than Heavy Gauss requiring you to get really, really, really close for that huge alpha potential. Though obviously you can peg people from a distance anyway. But with the nerfs to clan energy stuff, at least with the heat gen quirks and medium pulse, I mean, the medium pulse wasn't necessarily even that much used because you just boated heat sinks and regular mediums anyway. But the heat gen stuff, just, if PGI continually nerfs the energy boating but buffs up Heavy Gauss, you might just see the pros running Heavy Gauss decks for days.
Yeah.
True. That's usually the case, though. Like, whenever they nerf something, then the meta starts changing into different aspects.
You can actually already see that to some extent with the Mad Cat Mark IIs. I noticed they shifted from Death Strikes mostly to the version B, actually. With UAC-10 and UAC-5 combos. The thing you ran on the Kodiak a couple months ago. I've seen a lot of those running around lately.
Okay. Yeah.
Huh.
So the ERPPC?
Yeah, the ERPPC, what about?
Oh, no, basically.
So they've increased the cooldown on that, and as I said earlier, I think It's a slight nerf, but the general playstyle of the clan PPC isn't going to be too much affected. It's a bit like changing the cooldown of Gauss rifles from 4 to 5 seconds in the past. It's like, yeah, that really does sort of hurt their potential a bit, but it also you're firing a big, huge, powerful shot and then waiting for a while to fire it again.
Mm-hmm.
And they're snipery type of weapons, or at least they're better suited to that. So, it just reduces their potential at close range to, just put out crazy amounts of damage compared to other builds.
Yeah, so it's not huge, but I guess if we want to try to move on a little bit, there were some. Was there anything else?
The assassin and shadow.
Well, I just want to say my last thought on the weapon balance is I think energy does sort of need clan energy needs to be brought down a little bit of a peg. Light Gauss did need to be made viable. We'll have to see how that plays out. Heavy Gauss I think was overdone, but things like missiles, I really enjoy SRMs and their nerfs to Artemis saying, oh no, with Artemis and the missile spread quirks, it started becoming too pinpoint. I was like, well, if you're up at close range anyway, it should sort of be pinpoint because the sheer strength of Gauss rifles and lasers with their pinpoint damage and your very fast travel times, if hit scan with lasers obviously, meant missiles have really fell out of favor, and it didn't make much sense to nerf it when really it's a risk-reward strategy always with SRMs at least.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping in future at least I want to see the Artemis changes revoked or spread nodes improved for SRMs, because I feel they've fallen out of the meta, that they aren't going to really contend with Heavy Gauss and even clan Laser Vomit out there still.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, granted, that will not stop me from being a potato and just taking SRMs and LBs, because that's my favorite combo to take in. So
yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I love using SRMs, but I've been slowly moving towards streaks because you lose that pinpoint damage. Well, I might as well just have all the damage guaranteed rather than having to aim at 280 meters and account for travel time and missiles flying through the target and splattering all over the mech anyway. Might as well just have all the missiles guaranteed hit.
That's true.
And speaking of a bunch of missiles, should we have a 5-second silence for PGI's attempt to nerf the Assassin 21? Thank you very much for those 5 seconds.
Yeah, they tried to nerf it.
They tried to. I really don't think it's a sufficient enough nerf to bring the Assassin 21 back into line with other mediums, but hey, they tried.
Well, they said they're possibly going to do more nerfs in the future, and I think it will need that because, as I said last time, I thought the big thing that you need to do is just reduce its agility, its mobility, because it has really good hitboxes and it's able to turn and start and stop on a dime, making it really hard to hit.
When I dropped with you, man, it was just incredible to use that thing. It was just like instant death for all the mechs we had faced up against.
Especially in point-blank range.
Yeah.
Yeah, enemy mechs just really struggle to focus down a component because of its really good agility and hitboxes. Changing the quirks from armor to structure saves it from backstabs a bit more, but it is still, even without the structure stuff, like the structure stuff was minimal in the first place. It's like, oh wow, I've got an extra 8 on the legs. Ooh. But they're not hitting my legs, fast enough to kill me anyway.
Yeah.
It's like I could almost live without those buffs and still wreck face. But we'll have to wait and see. The big thing with I've seen a fair number of assassins around, but the difficult thing with them was at least they have to contend with all the piranhas out there, and the assassin isn't thought of as necessarily the best anti-piranha mech because its missiles do splatter out a bit if you can't get in close, and it's such a tiny little thing to hit.
True.
At least you only need to hit the piranha with 2 missiles to put it down, but that's a topic for later.
Yeah. They've also fiddled with the Shadowhawks a bit, trying to up the underperforming ones, so to speak, the ones that haven't actually seen so much play. The quirk changes I like in the sense that these ones that are underperforming, they've made their quirk bonuses more universal, which I much prefer because the Shadowhawks all have a mix of ballistic, missile, and energy. And the way it was before, there was one like with 3 ballistic in the side torso with 15% cooldown, and then the others had little to no quirks whatsoever. So it's like, well, I'm going to put 3 ballistics and make that my main weapon because the other weapons aren't worth considering. There's no point diversifying my loadout. Well, now they've made it 10% universal with an extra 5 on top for the ballistic. So now you can actually mix and match, and perhaps there's a lot more you can do with that particular build. I don't think it's necessarily going to change things too much. The Shadowhawk is squishy compared to the other Kentaro and Bushwhacker out there. Though it is still, and it was, the more fun weapons platform for unleashing a lot of quick Daka.
I'm still going to use my AC-20 and three SRM-6s, so I'm good. Some of these are still a fun back to play, especially the 2D.
Yeah, one thing I actually really like about this change that I would like to mention real quick, the Shadowhawk, if you take a look at it in lore, it's actually supposed to be a flexible chassis with a lot of different weapons all over the range bracket. Yeah. And with the addition of general weapon quirks, you kind of can do this role in MWO now. So I like the little nod to lore they're giving here.
I kind of see it as
with a lore build.
You could?
Yeah.
Try it with lore build. It's freaking hard.
I've always seen it as a jack of all trades, master of none, but this might actually want me to try it out again because I only have one, and I have the 2H, and that's it, which was the 3 ballistic.
Although, I am finding though, on the 20% UAC jam chance, it even with a -40 on the loyalty like Wolverine, that doesn't. I jam. I'm really 1 out of 3 shots pretty much. And with -20%, it's now going to be 1 out of 2 shots pretty much. And I think they're going to need to twist that a little bit or figure out some type of some way to fix that because it seems I'm jamming all the time with that weapon. Yeah. And I shouldn't jam with a -40% or
I feel
more
like
as
Byter
much.
should give his a little tip here right now.
Go ahead.
That's secret.
Secret tips.
I was indeed having this trouble with the UAC 5 Orion. I would take it out in faction play, and I played it like I always did. I mashed the button and spam as many UAC 5s as possible because it has a good cooldown quirk, and it would just jam up all the damn time. And at some point, I took it into testing grounds because I was like, this is a really solid mech, and I'm doing little to no damage with it anymore. And I found, at least with that one with UAC 5s, it was a matter of if I mashed the button more times than it can fire, it was doing extra rolls on the jam chance. So I would mash the button really, really, really quickly, and obviously I'm rolling an extra 10 or 15 times or whatever in 3 seconds, and that would jam the weapon up really quickly, even with 40%. If, however, I time my clicks so that I'm only pressing it when it can double tap, I'm minimizing the number of extra rolls I'm doing on the jamming chart, so to speak. And therefore, it kept firing. It just keeps going. And I think that at least is a principle I'm now applying to all the UACs whenever I use them. I only press the mouse button a second time when it can double tap.
Interesting. I'll have to try that. That's a good tip.
That's a key thing that I think PGI at some point has changed and didn't tell to the public, and that's why UACs have really dropped down in popularity. Is particularly the biggest, most example you would hear is from people using clan UAC 20s, is they would complain that it would jam before even firing the first volley. Why is it it fires 1 of the 4 pellets or 2 of the 4 pellets before even trying the second time? And the reason is they're mashing the mouse button and it jams before even finishing firing the first time.
I'll have to try that. Damn.
I think that's what's going on. And I've had some success with Clan UAC 20s because for me it was I tap the button, I wait for all 4 to come out, and then I tap the button again.
So pro tip, don't be a spaz.
Yes, and with that tip at least, I've been putting UACs on mechs without UAC jam chance quirks. And they still jam up, but it is actually quite reliable now. And I've had a lot of fun with UACs, and people get really confused when I'm using UACs. Because it's just not something you've seen on the field anymore. Yeah. But on that point, going back to the Shadowhawk, they turned the UAC 5 deck, which was always a little awkward because it had 2 ballistics. You could put 2 UAC 5s in there with a good cooldown and an okay UAC 5 jam chance. but it was always so kind of limiting because you're stuck with a light engine. 2 UAC-5 is really heavy, and the ammo you need to feed that weapon's really heavy. Like basically, you're just a UAC-5 mech. But changing it to universal UAC jam chance means you can go UAC 20, UAC 10, or 2 UAC 2s and mix it up with some, because it has universal cooldown quirk now, mix it up with some MRMs or some missiles or whatever.
Cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Yeah. So with that gun, for the purpose of time, should we just speed over the remaining items?
Just to go on some people's points on the Shadowhawks before the Shadowhawks were very specialized due to their quirks, and now the 3 of them are more universal, but there's still like the energy/missile one is still only got missile quirks. I wish that would apply to the energy as well. Is it really that well a performing mech? I didn't really think so.
No.
But the brawler, the 4 missile, 1 ballistic. Let's see what this has got. Energy cooldown, ballistic velocity, ballistic cooldown. I mean, that one does. I do not see that one perform that well, honestly. I mean, it might perform better than the other Shadowhawks, but honestly, I feel like all the Shadowhawks would just get a universal 10% cooldown, and you call it a day.
Okay.
Make them true, jack of all trades, firepower mechs. Because as it stands right now, they still generally fill certain specialized roles given their hard points. And the underperforming ones are just given a little up in performance.
Yeah. I may need to try mine again at some point. I'm curious.
Probably gonna bring it out later on.
It's certainly something. I look forward to experimenting some more with the Shadowhawks. Particularly now, I could throw in much more varied loadouts.
Nice. Okay, so I think that was pretty much all the patch notes except for Piranha. Do you guys want to dive into the Piranha?
Let's dive into the Piranha.
All right.
Okay, so what do you guys got? Unfortunately, my Mechwarrior crashed, so I'll have to go by you guys.
Oh no!
Oh no!
Yeah.
So covering what I said, I still in the belief what I said last time that this is a power step upwards for Clan in terms of their faction play drop decks, and also for Group Q, it's it can bring a lot more firepower than typically a Locust can bring to the table.
For only being a 20-tonner, this thing is crazy go nuts.
It's so crazy. It's so crazy that I'm using 12 machine guns. I did a test and literally going up on the weight class for about 3 seconds for light, 4 for medium, 5 for a heavy, 6 seconds for a assault mech, and you just blow the leg off right then and there. And that's only like with a flamer and 12 machine guns. Now, if you use the light ones, it'll be different. Use heavy ones, like obviously, be different too. But literally, this thing could just murder. I mean, just murder a whole pack of them. It's just the scariest thing you ever see in your lifetime.
Yeah, I would say I also thought that the machine gun one was the one to watch. It's why I bought a collector pack, because I thought, 12 machine guns is really strong. The laser boat thing, it's cute, but lasers and machine guns don't actually necessarily make the most sense. Just throw on as many machine guns, ammo, and flamers as you can. Yeah. And I've had a crazy amount of fun with the Piranha 1. I got all my damage done really quickly with that one, and then had to slog my way through with the energy boats.
Yeah. I haven't even touched the energy boat ones yet. I still have yet to even try them.
Me personally, like the 2 and 3, I'm just gonna mothball like after get them done. But number 1, I'm gonna use the most for.
Yeah, and the 12 machine guns do a crazy amount of damage. They can chop through armor really quickly. So sometimes, like the second game I took out on this thing, I went solo, charged around the enemy flanks, and picked up weak mechs as they withdrew from my team, and I 1v1'd like a Warhammer, a Timberwolf, and a Marauder, and took the ball down. One at a time, of course. They weren't all shooting at me at once because, well, Piranha is still quite squishy. But with the Timberwolf, he was a laser boat loadout, so I just charged him, machine guns running, a flamer on him, and I just burnt through both his side torsos from the front. Now, to be fair, he was hurt from earlier, but still, I just chopped through the armor, through the side torsos like they were butter.
And then also at that point, could he physically aim down to shoot you if you're like right on him?
A lot of mechs have been struggling with looking down at piranhas, and that's been a lot of fun shenanigans of that as well. Though I always prefer to, keep mobile and circle around and zigzag and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think at least from what I've gathered in Larsh's group, lots of people have been very happy with their Piranha purchases. A lot have actually picked up the collector pack because they are such big fans of the machine gun variant, because that thing does feel so great when you come across an open mech and you just hold down the button for a second and the component disappears, vanishes in a second. It feels brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very tempted to buy the reinforcement pack. I'm really tempted.
I mean, I want the quad AMS because I love playing like support mechs, and having that. I think Aethermech did a 4-man squad of the AMS with the quads, and literally no missiles can touch these guys. And it was just funny as hell that he said that, because that's a tactic that I've been wanting to try for a long time with a bunch of Novas.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say a lot of people like the collector pack though, because C-Bill boosted variant of the machine gun one, which is the clear standout winner of the pack, or at least as the one that brings the most special, unique, fun flavor for the Piranha.
Yeah.
And people whilst a lot of people are sort of naysaying on the wall, and people are taking quite a fondness to it, how derpy it is.
It is pretty derpy. I think one of us actually made something. I forgot who, like either Larsh or Ian made a 6-hour one or something like that.
10 hours.
10 hours of Piranha screaming.
I rented a 10-hour video for that shit.
Jesus Christ, that's crazy. Yeah, that's something that basically, kind of like the Irby mech, go around in circles and stuff like that, or the Atlas doing the same thing.
That was my favorite.
Oh yeah, man, those are a blast to go ahead and just chill out and have in the background while you're doing something. It's just have fun with it, pretty much. But overall, though, I do think that the Piranha 1 is going to be one of the major ones that everyone's going to be seeing. The 2 and 3 be mothballed by a bunch of people, because I've been talking to a bunch of people and they've been just like, yeah, okay, I got the laser probe 1 done, cool, and go back to my Piranha 1. The A and B. Or the A and B will be the A definitely as a quad. I'm very interested in that one. And how are you guys liking the Cypher?
I actually enjoy the Cypher. I made one that was 6 light machine guns and 6 heavy smalls that I enjoyed. But I then swapped it to 6 light machine guns and then just 6 ER smalls. I think it's a very well balanced Piranha.
Okay.
A lot of people have classically liked the mass machine gun plus lasers, because it makes them feel happier just poking at range and or poking at armor, even if the machine guns themselves can actually do a very good job against armor. And so yeah, the Cypher has been quite a popular pick-me-up. I personally didn't bother getting the hero because, well, as I said, I just felt I really like machine gun mechs for the machine guns, not making them awkward machine gun plus laser boat mechs. Yeah. So I got to get the one with all the machine guns and kill things really quickly with machine guns, rather than compromise my vision and take those silly inefficient lasers that get me overheated.
Yes.
Did you guys actually extend the cockpit and see and hopefully you can see the right left-hand side? You can barely, it's a little sliver of what you can see. It's not even worth it, actually.
Yeah. I did notice that on my third match. I looked to the side of my cockpit and I was like, oh, I could actually look out of these eyes.
Yeah, but they don't do anything.
It's a little sliver, though. That's the only issue, though.
They are not practical at all for seeing anything out of them.
It's a really funny story. Actually, I recently upgraded to a widescreen monitor, like an ultra-wide. And those side panels are really useful on an ultrawide. I can actually see stuff through them.
It's kind of
I'm
neat.
happy about them.
Yeah, what do you got again?
I've got an ultrawide monitor, so
Oh,
I can
ultrawide,
actually see
yeah.
out of those windows.
Oh, that's cool. That's awesome.
Because let's be real, the main cockpit window is like I get claustrophobic watching it.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
like
God, yeah.
I play half the game probably zoomed in just to look out of the little portoval window.
Same with here. Same here too.
Someone in our Discord suggested getting advanced zoom just to have a full window.
Yep.
I don't know if
I
I'll
keep
do
my
that,
zoom
but yeah.
level low because I'm trying to brawl people with machine guns. I have to keep a good eye on distances and all that. I see people zooming in and they sort of lose track of distance and therefore sort of just walk straight at the target because they feel like, oh, I'm at point blank range. No, actually, you're at like 115 meters there. There's actually still an approach to go.
True.
True. It's a cool meme though.
Yeah.
So what are your actually thoughts on basically, like, is it a yay mech? As far as like totally, it's the best thing ever since sliced bread, or does it need or does it need a little bit of work?
I wouldn't say it's the best thing since sliced bread, but I think I was talking to a few people earlier who said that when this mech comes out, it's just going to be the, flavor of the week. You'll use it for the fun trolley stuff, and then you'll never use it again. I disagree. I've thoroughly enjoyed the Piranha 1 and the Cypher. It's gonna be, for me, it's gonna be a staple. I think I'm gonna keep using this thing.
In group queue, if you have to ton down, I will not mind tunning down to a Piranha.
Sure.
I think
Sure.
in terms of game balance, it is hard to tell a little bit in the opening weeks because the problem with a lot of people dropping with Piranhas is a lot of other people are dropping with anti-Piranha. And there's a lot of other people with Piranhas, so a lot of the stuff I want to do, like shenanigans, like my second match, I picked up those 6 kills, yada yada yada, but I only mostly did so because the enemy did not take their streak boats, they did not take Gorse mechs, and I didn't get chased down by another Piranha. When things die down a bit, if they indeed do, the Piranha is able to go in, go out really easily with very few mechs able to keep up and keep track of it. Whereas before, I've had annoying issues where I push in deep and then I try and exfiltrate, but another Piranha follows me, holds locks, and I get lurmed. And that's really, really freaking annoying.
Yeah, it's kind of how it goes whenever you first get a mech for any mech in this game. Is that they give you the challenge of do all the damage, and then all of a sudden that's the first thing dead because it's brand new and it's shiny and it's also not skilled up all the way. So once this thing becomes fully skilled, I think it's going to be a ton of fun.
I mean, already I'm having a blast doing it. I mean, just making up meme videos are actually really fun to make too. It's a lot of it's definitely hilarious. But I do feel that basically it's one of those mechs that's very unforgiving. Just like the Locust, you make one mistake and you're pretty much toast. And so you really have to watch what you're doing, situational awareness, what's going on around you, and then pick your targets. Like I know, like Ian and four others of us, we actually just melted a Kodiak in less than 3 seconds, and it's just. But we went around, flanked, got him, and just nailed him, and then ran away again. So basically, you really have to pick your targets when you go to do this type of mech.
Yeah, in terms of overall game balance, the principles are such that the mech has a large number of hard points, particularly in ballistic, but also in energy, allowing it to take a large amount of alpha and damage potential. However, to offset this, it's quite it's got quite a large torso, like relative to a Locust. It's quite a big, wide target. People can easily shoot you, so you got a lot of firepower, but you're also really squishy. And it does not have much in the way of survival quirks, which goes along with the fact it's a very high risk-reward mech, basically. Otherwise, in terms of agility, I'm happy with the level of agility they gave. It's a very high risk-reward mech. It needs agility to take those risks and really make those risks play out, but it isn't got the agility of a Locust. It's got the agility of an Innisphere 30-tonner or thereabouts, making it, I think, really, really nicely balanced. If you are a really good light mech pilot, you could make this thing sing, particularly when people are not going to be bringing anti-light tech when the number of piranhas in matches die down.
Well, give it about a week or two, then then everyone's going to be playing the normal mechs instead of like playing street boats and everything. So.
Yep.
Yeah. For me, just to maybe end this real quick, I've been piloting spiders and locusts for a combined total of 5 years, and I personally don't like the Pyromania quite as much as the locust for the exact reason that it's less, it's more squishy than a locust in my opinion, but it's a hell of a fun mech and you can really use it well if you know what you're doing.
Locust is just so much more agile, good at peeking over hills, and harder to hit.
And it even has more armor, I think.
Actually,
does it?
the size was only 16, I think. I think if you actually like increase the survival tree, you could probably get the locust about a 20. But still though, like I've been finding that the piranha is like it's a one-hit wonder, pretty much. So like you hit it, it's gonna die, but you can do a ton of damage. So.
Yeah, I found personally, at least, I've been quite good against regular builds. I'm very good at it's very good at spreading damage actually. Maybe not so much the arms, but I have got the mech down to 30% with no open components, and that was in the game where I got the 6 kills because they were all not running anti-piranha mechs.
Yeah.
And a big thing with that I see a lot of pilots not necessarily so great with is just all the zigzagging, torso twisting. Just get as hyper and as much coffee as you can before playing it, and juke people as much as possible. And this thing can do some really good juking because its agility is just good enough and it's quite a small target. The problem with a lot of piranha pilots is they are not good with zigzagging. So they come straight towards or go at an angle like, aha, I'm going diagonally. Oh no, where will he go now? He's going left to right. I just can't hit that target.
True.
And while we're on the topic, tips how to stay alive with the Pyromania. If you see a huntsman or anything with streaks, one.
You just
A streak huntsman with the current loadout will one-shot you. I can vouch for that.
I normally actually use other mechs as shields pretty much. Like when I see that kind of stuff, I kind of stick on the other side of like their mechs or like their own team's mechs and do that and then shoot, and then run away basically.
Stick behind terrain, stick behind your friends until you find an actual target that you can take down and only then engage.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, for me personally, I've had a great amount of fun with the pounce style, and I probably will have a lot more fun when everyone's not taking anti-piranha tech, because it's really hard to pounce people when they're all taking Gorse and streaks.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Streaks is the big thing.
When you want the corner, suddenly there's a Kid Fox in your head.
Yeah, the only thing I would say that I'm a little annoyed with other piranha pilots, like there was one match on Polar, I took out Gen 2C alone because that's how it goes, and then the piranhas go, ooh, there's a right flank we can push through, and they join me, and I'm like, hey, watch out guys, the mech we're trying to push is a streak mech, and they go in anyway, so I'm like, ugh, fine, and I gun down that one, but I take one volley. And then they charge a streak Mad Dog. I'm like, guys, that's also a streak mech. Fine, I'll gun that too. And I got his half of his torso, but then he managed to peg me, and I went down. And the most annoying thing was I was the only one who took a flamer.
Yeah.
Because if you got at least 4 piranhas jumping on a streak mech, all with flamers, the streak mech can fire once.
Then shuts
and maybe
you just unload on them with a bunch of machine guns.
Yeah, exactly. So. I mean, I don't expect most people. Machine gun lights rarely run flamers, but guys, flamers on the machine gun lights is really good. You could win 1v1 duels a lot more easily if you just spend that half a ton.
Yeah, true. So it looks like next on the agenda is clan tonnage.
Faction Warfare got their clan tonnage back.
Yeah, 55 tons from 50. So the Stormcrows will be coming out being a mothball and be able to be used. But the issue is, it's going to be good though for the clans, because normally with Kentaro, we could run down the Huntsman, but with the Street Crows, those are actually a lot more fast. They're a lot faster, so it'd be hard to run these things down if they actually know what they're doing. And also, it gets it gets the Black Lantern involved into it, another 55-ton mech coming February 20th. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things that I don't know. My own personal feel is they saw the sales for the Black Lantern a little bit low, said, hey, let's bring it up to 55 tons to appease everyone because we brought down the nodes down a little, down like just a little bit, and then we could probably hopefully sell a little bit more Black Lanterns. That's just my own personal thing, just speculation though.
I've been thinking that this change has been something that's been needed for quite some time. They lowered the clan tonnage because clan was doing much better at scouting. Innisphere was getting creamed in both scouting and faction warfare. Though, as stuff like the Bushwhacker and the Kentaro come out with their huge armor quirks, the Innisphere have taken over the scouting scene because they have such tanky mechs. Compared to the clan 50-tonners, because before you were running things like Griffins and Shadowhawks, which they're okay, but they're quite squishy. And where if you'd got 4 Griffins versus 4 Bushwhackers, the Bushwhackers are just bringing hundreds of points more armor for the clans to kill through, making it a huge edge for the Innisphere when they actually do take those mechs. So in balance, at least with the clan 55-tonners, they're not going to bring a huge amount of armor, but they're going to bring more clan tech, more tonnage, etc., etc. So, with clan on the back foot, they totally needed the extra 5 tons. They need the extra options. It'll be interesting to see if and how the meta will even develop, because oddly enough, at least the clans have got kind of used to their 50-tonners, because the Huntsmans and Hunchbacks and somewhat even Shadowcats and whatnot all have a whole bunch of jump jets and could jump on top of a castle and try and snipe this Innisphere from there. That's sort of been the clan tactics we've been seeing in a large amount. And Novus, of course, jump jets. The Stormcrow, of course, yes, it's fast, but it doesn't have any jump jets. It can't join the other mechs on top of the castle.
Has to run around.
But it can, of course, bring a huge bunch of small pulse lasers and focus legs. And whereas something like the Nova, it was a bit squishier than the Stormcrow. So, like, if you got a choice between a laser Stormcrow and a laser Nova, the Stormcrow was generally somewhat the one that won out, just because it was a bit tankier and you could fit a bit more stuff in it.
Yeah, I completely agree with Byter here, and I actually do think that we're gonna see less streaks on both sides. Because if you take a look at the Stormcrow, this is something we've discussed in Discord before the stream. The Stormcrow has giant legs, and the Bushwhacker also has legs that are really easy to hit. So my personal opinion is we're gonna see a lot of direct fire weapons. Probably SRM Bushwhackers, which are really good at taking out Stormcrow legs. And as Byter said, small pulse laser Stormcrows, maybe medium pulse laser Stormcrows. We'll see about that. But I'd expect laser Stormcrows.
The emote should be called Lake Destruction, though.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. We'll have to wait and see, because if the Stormcrow is a good enough step up, then all the clans are going to always take Stormcrows. But having them mixed might mean the clans still have issues, because some are jumping on top of the castle and some are just looking to, engage in close range brawling. So there'll be some time for the meta to shake out. Otherwise, the Black Lana will be coming out the next mech pack. And I don't think that necessarily is going to be a great fit for scouting, at least since it has such a small pod space and much more limited in terms of what weapons it can take compared to something like a Stormcrow. The Stormcrow already has the good speed and the good weapon options. Why take the Black Lana, other than perhaps the Black Lana being really tanky?
I would expect the Black Lana to take over the world, the Fridge, what's its actual name? The Ice Ferret currently has, with running away and poking the enemy with large pulse lasers. That's something the Black Lana may be able to do, but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I think it's all going to come down to the day of, and we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So to discuss a little on Bob's point, it is interesting at least how PGI did this. It wasn't announced via the patch notes. It wasn't something that they had fully decided on by that point. It was something announced on Twitter and then given its own separate post on the website. Now, I'm not sure exactly what's going on with them, because at least I imagine the tonnage change is something they could really easily do and just do on the spare at the moment, as they have sort of often done.
This is like 50 to 55, and that's it.
I imagine at least what they did was, at least with any company sort of thing, you have you plan for the month ahead, and you know, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, and they did a lot of balance changes, and then someone said, hey, look, Clan is still losing a lot in scouting, should we change that? And someone goes, yeah, all right. And that's something they did, after the patch notes. It's something they just sort of said, okay, we're done with this month with the Piranha, everything's put out the door. Oh, and someone says, oh, I've got this extra thing, let's do it. And they just throw it out there. Perhaps, indeed, they were looking at the Black Lana and going, Clan really do need that 55 tons. And it would make sense to up the tonnage and make the Black Lana actually useful for scouting as well.
Mm-hmm.
Thing is, though, basically, like, if they knew about the, since they get a major proportion of the games which are done during events for faction warfare, wouldn't it actually be earlier, since that was the last one, was, 3 or 4 weeks ago? Is that right?
Yeah. We can only hypothesize, really, what's going on behind the doors at PGI. Because all we've got is really the announcements. That's why all I'm doing is putting out my hypothesis and saying this is something that if they had been thinking about this for the month, they would have put in the patch notes. It seems more of the spare the moment decision, just the way they've done it. And
True.
I'm thinking that spare of the moment decision was done because they were setting their sights onto new ideas after this patch came out, and they were like, we've done all this stuff, so what are we going to do this month? And someone said, why not change the tonnage values? And someone else said, why not change it now? And it all worked out. That is my hypothesis.
I agree with Buddy.
Yeah, same.
We discussed it earlier. I don't think the Black Lana sales are the main reason for the change, but I'm fairly certain it's the reason they're changing it right now.
It's not the main reason, but a bunch of factors probably factored in, for that though.
But I'm pretty sure the timing is heavily affected by it.
Yeah. Oh jeez.
They just started thinking about 55 tonners all of a sudden. They just might have been thinking about putting one into the game in future.
True.
Yeah.
Such a random thought.
Gotta get them monies, man.
Accidents happen.
I don't know, we'll go to current events like the double XP weekend and the XP conversion to get your bagpipe warhorn.
Yeah, I need to do that.
That one's actually important. So there's a current event going on. If you convert XP using MC, you get some extra rewards. And it's not really worth it. You'd have to pay about $80 to get the grand prize, so to say, which is a single mech bay. So
well, to explain
actually.
all the details, it is you earn double XP in game. The I think they're also doing a sale on all the heroes, or at least a large number of the heroes. And they're doing a extra rewards for converting mech XP. So if you have a mech with, every match you earn specific XP for a mech, but once you've mastered it, the XP doesn't necessarily have much use, but you can convert that to general experience, and then that can have no use.
Sure.
But what they're doing is they say, okay, they're tallying up the total amount of XP you've converted, and for every X amount, you'll be getting rewards. So the tiers are like, the first 5,000 you get the bagpipe warhorn, the 25,000 you get some standing items, 50,000, 100,000, 200,000. Yada 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 yada. They keep giving you little food pellets.
Free stuff.
As at least the biggest thing I think most people are interested in is the lowest level reward, just converting 5,000 experience. That requires 100 MC, and you get the new Scottish bagpipe warhorn. Now this is different from the loyalty reward bagpipe. It sounds a little different. So you can already purchase it in your the mech lab for 500 MC, but why spend 500 when you can
100.
Just one time, because it's a cumulative XP conversion thing. This one time you can get it for 100 MC and convert some XP, I guess.
I mean, I love it like I did for both my characters, and it worked out pretty good because everyone's using the Scottish bagpipe, and I want it for my Highlander, so I mean, it's be perfect.
It's a different Scottish bagpipe warhorn, and you can only earn one. I think that's just the important thing to get out there.
It's rare, yeah.
But this one is the one you could buy for 500 MC. So there may be sales in future for 50% off, but that's obviously 250 MC. You could buy this alternative Scottish warhorn bagpipe.
let's not forget about the consumable pack. You get 5 times consumable pack. That's even better too.
Ooh, yay.
Exactly.
I'm thrilled.
But also you do get the double XP, which definitely helps. If you're trying to level some mechs, which I've been seeing different design mechs on the battlefield. I mean, a bunch of it's like, wow, I haven't seen that mech for a long time. Yeah, and they're playing it like Vindicators. Don't see that like a lot. The Quick Draw and plus Grasshoppers. I've seen a lot of those, like all the ones people have mothballed like in their fleet. Or not fleet, I'm sorry, like in their mech bay. I'm sorry, I'm talking Star Trek here. But, and they have them like mothballed like in the mech bays. You can now get the XP for them, get them like really quick. The problem is this, and I was talking in chat, is that you're as fast as you're getting XP, you're losing C bills because you better have a good stable C bills to go pay for those nodes. So like I went through and went through all my hero mechs. I said, okay, I'm getting all these hero mechs to 91 skill points at least, and so that's what I did. 30% plus premium time. That actually helps out in order to get the in order to actually go ahead and do all skill nodes. So watch out for that when you're trying this. But I mean, I think it's on to the 31st, right?
Yeah, I think it's till the end of this month, basically.
Yeah.
The double
30th,
XP event is on, and yeah, twice the experience points means you could master your mechs much more quicker. And
it costs a lot.
Great. Yeah, you're not going to be earning C bills during this time if you're buying skill points.
Yeah, exactly. So what's next? We have the Piranha Challenge.
One last thought on the GXP conversion, at least for me, was the nice thing I did last week's event, the Piranha lead-up challenges, where they gave MC away. And so, you know, I earned like 200 MC, 300 MC, or whatever, and I spend 100 and get a set of nice bagpipe war horns.
Oh, that's a good idea.
all for free, you know. So, if you don't even need to buy. Like recently, if you've been playing the game, you don't even need to buy MC to get this war horn.
Yep.
That's a great idea.
That's a good idea. And everyone should do this. Just get the warrant itself. It's really hard to get. I'm 500 like MC though. So next we got the challenge, I believe. Is that the last one that we're going to talk about?
Well, there's also, I think, the meme thing.
I think we should talk about the meme thing first because
meme sounds good.
Important.
Meme sounds good. I like memes.
So memes. You've already heard about my 10-hour video, Larsh. You did also memes.
Yes, I did a Piranha meme. Pretty much. Yeah, go ahead.
Give people context. Along with the XP event and all that stuff we've been talking about, they added as a footnote, oh, by the way, we're just going to do a meme contest. So on the announcement of the XP thing and the meme thing, the comment thread in there, they want people to post their memes. Priority memes, I think, are probably going to be more appreciated and whatnot. And people have just been posting away. I think that, how many pages has this thing got to? 250 comments thus far.
Yeah.
It's been a lot.
I think PGI jumped the shark on this one. You know, it's just like, I mean, for all the other events, it's been like, you know, game based. This one, it's like, yeah, we know you guys make memes, make more memes, and
they're giving away a standard pack to whoever Tina just thinks is the winner. So it's not much of a reward, but
I mean, it's something.
It's for the lols.
It's something fun.
PGI has to look at your memes.
Yeah, which honestly has been a really good thing or a bad thing, because for memes on Reddit, a lot of the memes are just bashing Rust or bashing PGI.
Yeah, it's a good thing they do this though.
Yeah, it really is, and I've enjoyed a few of the memes I've seen on the forums.
Definitely. I mean, like, thank God, like, you know, they're actually doing much more community work, and that's what they should do this year. You know, like boost up the community to go and help new players get into the game itself. So it's good. I like it. I'm gonna probably make mine this weekend actually. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but you know, I'll figure out something stupid.
Yeah,
I mean, I like this event. It's not just giving away food pellets, but a lot of the people here like memeing. At least that's in Larsh's group. So this sort of, you know, rung very well with the our little section of the community, I think.
Yeah. I will say, like, whenever I saw the contest, I was like, they're speaking to us. So Ian put his 10 hours of Piranha Warhorn video up as a meme. Back when they announced the Piranha, I actually made a meme back when they announced it, and it was a Piranha documentary, like a real documentary, but I then modified the footage for the mech. And since I was able to capture better footage because the mech is actually out, I went ahead and modified the video and submitted it. I think it, it's I don't think the winner is based on how many likes it has in the forums.
I think it's just up to Tina's choice or whatever metrics she uses.
Yeah, so that it's up to personal opinion, but I mean, I've enjoyed it.
I imagine they get, you have to pick. You don't want to pick a too edgy meme. Has to be a safe. This is PGI approved meme.
Yeah, be safe in your memeing, folks.
If you want to win, though, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I don't know. We are done, I guess. Who wants to do the outro?
We've got one more small thing.
Okay.
Just to mention, press F to pay respect for the MWO patcher. It's live.
Oh, yeah.
It's imminent. The next patch will only be available on Steam and the MWO portal.
Which I think most people have already updated it anyway.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
The patcher is dead. Long live the portal.
Yeah.
The patch is dead now. So just I use Steam, so I guess I have to worry about that kind of stuff.
And I guess last little thing to mention would be the Piranha damage challenge thing. It's the same as the other packs. Yeah. Very much so. Ooh, polygon pattern if you got the collector's pack. Otherwise, just C-bills, I think. It's
3 million.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was just something cool for for the different people. That actually purchased it. That's all.
Though I like they're doing the concurrent XP thing because otherwise it's always just for the whales.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
I mean, it was hard to me actually to get the Piranha 2 and 3 up in damage though. I was like, crap, this sucks.
Oh,
but the first one, it was easy.
Well, for me, I actually had a lot of fun just 6 small pulses because people are not used to small pulses anymore.
Yeah,
it's actually got pretty good alpha and range.
Yeah, because didn't they up the heat on small pulses? But it was
they lowered the heat and the damage, and the big thing was the damage because it was a huge alpha for the tonnage invested. So you just go blah 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 blah, and you open up a component with the small pulses.
But 6 of them now. 6 of them could be nice now.
Yeah, what they changed was it fires faster, it does less damage, and it costs less heat. So it's still got a bit of a punch, but not as much at all in the classic times. It's 24 damage for 6 small pulse, basically.
It's still decent.
Yeah, it's just before it was 30 damage. That's, you're missing out on 6. Yeah, and I think that's all.
Yeah, I think so. So I know, of course, after the podcast, in about the usual half-an-hour time frame, and around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time, we're doing Piranha drops. We're doing Fish in a Barrel, or Gone Fishing, if you're going to be doing the heavy or medium streak mix kind of thing.
Schooling
glorious.
The enemy team.
School.
Get it? Because it's a fish.
Love it.
So who wants to do the outro? Okay, I guess I'll do it. I guess someone else volunteered there. So thank you everybody for watching the 25th episode of the First Circuit Podcast. We want to thank Byter, Ian, Larsh, and I guess thank myself. I don't know. But thank you everybody. Thank you. And every Friday night at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, we'll be doing these. We have a blast doing a good crew and everybody. And you yourself, you are awesome. Give yourselves a pat on the back. Thank you for watching. And this is the First Circuit Podcast number 25. Signing out. You guys have a good night. See you in the battlefield.